that hump day, that let's get this week on the roll, right? That's what Wednesdays, like that in between to where like it's almost over, but not quite, but we still have lots of work to do. So this morning I wanted to talk about overthinking. Okay. And it's so funny because like God always be having me tell on myself. Okay, because like I was like preparing this morning and I was like, man, I'm gonna like have to introduce myself as like, hello, my name is Jasmine and I am an overthinker. But sometimes it happens like that. I want to try not to miss any incoming people on Zoom. So because I have to look at my notes because I needed notes on this. I needed to like get some things out of my mind and on paper or electronic paper to really help me go over this. Okay. But overthinking, right? That's what we're going to talk about today. And I noticed this a lot in I see these type of traits pop up a lot during our Q&A, right? To where we will literally be having Q&A. Okay, we'll literally be having Q&A and I'm asking and getting feedback for some, and they're like, I have all the things, I have this in place, I have that in place. And I'm like, okay, what are you waiting for? Why are you not pressing go? And then what follows is like this regurgitation of like overthinking and self-doubt and self-negative talk and fear and failure. I mean, like just all the things, right? But overthinking, I'm naturally a very analytical person, right? Very strategic, but overthinking is good thinking gone bad. Because there's this place that you can get to where, okay, I'm analyzing this, I'm strategically planning this. And then like if it gets too crazy and I end up down this rabbit hole, that's when it turns bad. And like it can turn real bad because what happens is it ends up stopping me and it literally will end up halting me, right? Because essentially, let me read this term because I don't want to miss say it. Okay, essentially like God, where do I have it? I should have okay, analyst paralysis. Okay, like the definition, like the Webster definition of overthinking is literally analysis paralysis. Like you can get to a place to where you are overanalyzing everything, okay? Like, and it will literally halt you, right? So if you are a person that will tend to overthink decisions in your business, like, should I do this? Maybe I should do this. What if I do this? Well, what will happen? Well, if this happened, then what will happen with this, right? You put too much time in thinking about or analyzing something in a way that can be more harmful than helpful, right? Which is why a lot of times when, we do our weekly welcome posts on Facebook and I'm welcoming everybody to the group and they will say, that they're in phase 1, right? And if they're in phase 1, I will ask them either how long have they been there? Or do you have a projected launch date? Okay. Because I want to find out, like, are they overthinking? Are they overthinkers? Are they becoming an analysis paralysis, right? Because what we think is helpful can be extremely harmful because it will just halt our progress and what we're doing. Okay. So we're talking about overthinking this morning, you guys. For those that are just joining us in, good morning, good morning. So, right, essentially it's a repetitive or obsessive thinking that is really not productive, right? And in all actuality, it's something that we create as like a protective mechanism to prevent us from the unrealistic things that we might think will come, right? Like the things that we are afraid of, like that fear of failure, like we think that might look like, right? So we try to protect ourselves by putting like, oh, no, I'm about to analyze the method. I'm gonna create a plan for a backup plan, right? But it's becoming more harmful because we're not moving forward, right? It will literally stop us from moving forward, right? Overthinking, right, also takes us from considering something to making us super confused, because in our mind we will start with clarity and we're asking questions and we're trying to analyze this, but over time, as we just keep on going, as we keep on going, we're more confused than anything. We just created all these cross wires and now we're more confused than anything, and either we will try to untangle those cross wires or we will just stop because it's too confusing, right? So y'all know that I love self-assessment, self-awareness, right? This is a very powerful tool, because I don't want to, like, I can confess my faults. I know that I can be an overthinker, but here are some questions where you can ask yourself if you're an overthinker. If you're like, nah, Jazz, I don't even need to hear the questions. I already know. Awesome. Okay. We'll get to the solutions. But if you're one that like, no, I don't really overthink. I just want to make sure I have the perfect plan, right? You have to find yourself. Do you find it hard to make choices easy? I think I mentioned this I mentioned this before, in the Think and Grow Rich book. One of the chapters talks about like the ability to make fast business decisions, right? And how powerful of a tool that is, and how that part of his business or that part of himself has made him successful, right? So do you find it hard to make choices easy or fast, right? Or do you miss out on opportunities due to issues with deciding what direction to take, right? Like, do I go this way, that way, right? Red or blue pill. Y'all see that meme where like where the guy is like, hey, what do you want for dinner? And she's like, I don't know, right? Like trying to make those decisions, right? Or do we get clouded? Do we have doubt? Do we have fear that comes up when we're trying to face a decision? Does your brain provide you, this is the biggest one, because this is, when I read this, I was like, oh my God. Does your brain provide you a list of imaginary issues and non-existent obstacles? If that is your brain that is similar to my brain, right, then you might be an overthinker. There's a whole bunch more, but you guys kind of could get like the gist of it, right? But essentially, if you answered yes to those, then you might be an overthinker, right? And it's a sliding scale. Like it's not really like, well, Jazz, I can make decisions, but how delayed is your decision making, right? Is it causing you to have that analysis paralysis, right? Paralysis, where like you become paralyzed and can't move forward, right? Analysis paralysis literally just refers to a situation where somebody is unable to make a decision based upon them overthinking things, right? Do I have enough data? Do I have enough information? Like, am I choosing the right thing? Or what happens? I'm like, I go down this rabbit hole so many times. You guys want to know the rabbit hole that I went down this morning? I like was super preparing to do some video creations. I've been trying to do this for the longest, y'all. First, it was like, oh my God, I don't have my list. I need to get my list down. So I got my list. And oh my God, I need to get my eyebrows done. I got my eyebrows done. And after all of that, I woke up with like this big pimple. On my mouth. And I was like, Jasmine, you can't do this. You can't do this. These videos are going to be out there forever. And you got this pimple. People are going to looking at you crazy. They're going to think you don't have good hygiene. They're going to be thinking your pillowcases are not clean. I'm like, literally, this morning, y'all be like, yo, Jazz is lightweight crazy. And I might be. I really might be that, right? But that's kind of like what overthinking looks like. And like, yo, Jasmine, record the doggone videos, okay? Right? But common things that people overthink are like situations and opinions and decisions and opportunities. I hate overthinking opportunities. I hate overthinking opportunities because they could really go by really fast and you can miss that open door. And I have had that happen to me once and twice times before, because I want to analyze the possible outcome of if it will succeed and if it won't, right? And I feel like I just gotta know the answer. I just gotta know what could possibly happen. When in all actuality, I really don't know, right? So those are like some of the major ones that will affect us. And that happens in business. I see this a lot when it's time for people to start hiring cleaners, right? They're scared, they're nervous, they're scared. They don't know what they might say. They don't know how they'll respond. They don't know if the person will think they're legit, if they'll be respected enough, if they'll be seen as an authority figure, if they'll know what they're talking about, if they can be trusted, if they think this is a scam, right? All these responses are literally a list of responses that people, will share of the reason why they have not yet took that leap and actually started calling cleaners, right? And it's the same thing, like, oh my God, I have my cleaners. Now I'm ready to go live on leads, but I'm nervous if like my prices are not going to be good enough. And if they don't take my prices, what I do, or I mean, like, what if my cleaners are a no-show? What if they do get there? What if they don't like the job? What if they do like I mean, like, this ongoing list that is essentially just halting them, right? That's essentially not allowing us to move forward, right? And I mean, it takes up so much brain power, right? Our brain is like the largest organ in our body that requires the most like resources and energy to like daily consume, because our mind, I wish I would have Googled that too and had that statistic, because like our mind thinks so many thoughts every single day, right? I mean, we burn so much brain power. Thinking so many thoughts like every single day, right? I read this once before. This goes to, is it Tom Cook or Tim Cook? Whatever, the CEO of Apple, and you will see other CEOs are similar to this, right? They will like wear the same thing like all the time, like blue jeans. I think Tim Cook was like his black turtleneck, right? And then some people would do something very similar because they want to take that brain energy out. Like they don't want to have to worry about thinking and wasting like, brain power to think about what they're going to wear. Like they don't want to use that amount of resources to figure out what they're going to wear in the morning. And I know ladies, some men maybe would relate to this, right? Like Sunday mornings are the worst because I'm literally trying to figure out, oh my God, what am I going to wear to church? Or if I have to go somewhere, it's literally the like, what, you can think. So they don't want to use up that brain power every single day trying to figure out what they're going to wear. So they wear the same thing. Was Zach Zuckerberg, like same thing, right? Because they understand the precious brain power that they have, and they rather use up that resource for something more needed. Okay. And then of course it can become physically, mentally, and emotionally damaging to us, right? It can become sleepless nights. We can become depressed. We can become it can become even more negative self-talk, right? Impair our problem solving because we are afraid to pick a solution because we're trying to analyze if this is the right solution. And as a business owner, right, the biggest negative impact is actually preventing us to take actions and moving forward, right? Like we don't want to become stagnant, like just stuck in decision making because we are afraid of what choice to make, or we're trying to like super trying to figure out if this is the right choice, right? I see that a lot too, like, oh, these, I really want to start this cleaning business and this is really awesome. I just don't know, right? And then like months later, I'll get an email, hey, Jasmine, I know you remember me and we were talking. I'm like, yeah, I do. And I'm like, I'm finally ready to start. And this is like 6 months later. And I'm like, man, I'm thinking about all that precious time that person may have wasted. Like they could have already been started by now, but like they're just overthinking, like I just don't know if this is the right move for me, I'm nervous, I've never done this before, all of those things, and it literally just stops us from moving. Okay, so I want to like provide, I know we talked about all the bad things, right? But I wanted you to see like what overthinking actually does to us, right? Because sometimes we can think that it's a superpower, right? Yes, I love research, but I know I've learned my limitations of when research and analyzing and strategizing becomes too much, to where now I've kind of become the person to where I'll just go. Like, you know what? I'm just going to go. I'm just going to jump. I'm just going to do it. And I'll figure it out as I go, because the system, the planning is always going to evolve, and I'm going to learn more of it when I'm in it versus trying to prepare for it, because I really don't know what I'm preparing for, right? I really don't know what I'm preparing for until I get up in that thing and really do it, right? Like, a lot of people are asking for scripts on how to handle different situations. And I'm going to work on adding some to the membership, but the scripts are really limited because each situation can be completely different, and you'll have to literally have to figure something out on the run, right? I think a question came through early this morning in the group, and they were asking, hey, I have this client and she gets standard cleaning every week, but she wants a deep cleaning in one room. I don't know what I should do. And she's been waiting. And like, to be honest, for me, like, that's a new one. I don't remember receiving a question where somebody wants a deep clean for just one room, right? So I'm like pondering and thinking about it. And I was like, look, let me just chill out. I'm overthinking this, okay? You can do one or two options. You can either figure out a flat rate price to charge her for that per room, $50 to $75, or you can do hourly. She may not like hourly because she'll feel like, well, you never charge me hourly. So, right. So that's where the analytical part will come in. But if I'm like, oh, she may not like that. She may not like that because then I don't want her to cancel. And what if she cancel? That's my first reoccurring. I'm like, no, two options, right? But like I said, like, that was something that I haven't faced before. So can I really write a script for, hey, how to handle this situation? No, you have to learn how to make quick, fast decisions and be able to have good problem solving skills, right? And the thing about developing problem solving skills is you can only develop that thing when you're solving problems, right? And you're not going to always pick the right solution, and it's okay. You can work through it, right? If she doesn't like, well, I don't know, that may be kind of like, okay, well, I understand that. What about this option, right? You can work through it. So here are some remedies for analysis paralysis. And I hope I'm saying that right, okay? And like, like I was saying, like, what the problem is that opportunities or decisions that come up, they have to be resolved, okay? When I work with team members, right, I want to work with problem solvers. I want to work with people that that will seek the solution and not come seek the answer from myself, right? Now, yes, you get a random pop-up like that, you don't know, find and do some due diligence and figure it out, right, before you come to me. But being able to have the opportunity to resolve decisions, right? And you can't solve problems or decisions if you clearly can't define it, if you clearly, can't focus on it because you're just overthinking, right? Our focus and brain power works best if it's on a singular point. Okay, so that is one way that you can try to help your overthinking. Is like, don't be super sporadic. Like if you have a problem that you're trying to figure out, if you have, like, write it down, get it on paper, get it out of your head so you can see it. Because sometimes, like, your head, like, you just put in all these, like, categories and all these solutions, and it's kind of just fumbling and scrambling all over your head. But like, own it, like, own the time, take it out of your head, put it on paper so you can physically see it. And then I promise you, once you get it out of your head and put it on paper, it really doesn't, it's like really not that bad. Like, when it's kind of like when you guys ever talk to people and like, I'm having this issue, and you say it out loud and you're like, man, once I say it out loud, it's really not that bad. But in my mind, I created like this wormhole of like, and I'm just like lost in my thoughts, and I've gone down this rabbit hole. But like, when I say it out loud to somebody, I'd be like, oh, that's really not that bad. Okay. Like, the voices in my head and the opinions of others and everything that I think is not going to work, right? Like all those, it's not that bad. Let me just put it on paper, right? And sometimes you just have to just let it go, right? Sometimes you may have to put it down and come back to it. Because if it's not going to allow you to move forward, you don't want to be stuck. Be like, okay, I'm gonna put this little thing right here and I'll be back. Okay, I'm gonna go take some deep breaths and I'll be back. I gotta figure it out, but I'm gonna be back. Okay. Like it's not gonna go nowhere. But those are like some of the best things that I could do. Like that's why having an accountability partner, having a community to where you can put your ideas out there and somebody can use fresh eyes to examine it and be like, oh girl, look, let's do this and this and this. And you'd be like, oh my God, I've been looking at this for this long, and you just pop in. That's because you're getting a fresh perspective. You're getting fresh eyes of somebody that have not joined that rabbit hole with you, right? And for larger decisions, you may need to repeat that. You may need to, look at it. I think we was talking about last week where the guy had said like to really increase focus, like to only spend 25, no, that wasn't right. Was that right? 25 minutes on something like hardcore, like no distractions, and then take like a 5-minute break, take some deep breaths, and then do that within 3 increments, right? So sometimes that may have to be the practice that you do to try to really figure out the decision without like spiraling and going down that rabbit hole. Okay. And then put some perspective on it. Sometimes the smallest things, right, that we think are big, and our busy minds and our busy brains like really get a hold of them, right? Like that saying, like it just becomes that mountain that was just a little tiny hill. But if we take a moment to really anchor our decisions on our business goals, right? Having that bigger picture, knowing what you're trying to succeed, right? Knowing if we're trying to launch our cleaning business, making those calls about hiring is going to be one of the most, like, that's critical. Like it can't be done without that. So you'd have to decide to go or not, right? I hope the decision that you're making is to go, but knowing that bigger picture and knowing that this one piece is a part of it. Knowing that one piece is a part of it and you have to overcome it. Maybe that will be your anchoring, your anchor decision helper to make you really decide like, okay, perspective change, like Jasmine, this part has to be done. Like you have to get over, like, let's do this, right? For example, like deciding on what kind of booking or software accounting you're going to use, right? That can be a big deal because that's a part of your business that you will use every single day, right? But it isn't likely to cause the diminish of your business, right? Like if one doesn't work, right? If I'm, recommending booking Koala and you get in there and you're like, oh, it's kind of like, oh, I ain't really feeling it, right? It's not going to completely diminish your business. You just may have to try another one and move forward, right? It's just sometimes little perspective changes will help you escape that rabbit hole, right? But sometimes we put so much pressure on ourselves to the first decision, the first choice has to be the right choice. I found booking Koala after testing like 12, 13 different platforms. You know what I mean? Like that's why I can feel confident in recommending it. And I can also be like, look, these are the pros and these are the cons. And to me, the pros weighed out the cons, but this is just based upon my experience, right? But I tested it and I saw what was best. And then when it didn't go right, I mean, this is the part of being okay with something not working right, being okay, like don't use the word failure, it's just a part of the process, right? So if it doesn't work, you create another choice or you find something else and you keep it pushing, okay? Don't be afraid also to reach out to somebody, especially good community members, trusted individuals. I see some really cool bonds being created in the Facebook group, and that's awesome, okay? Since we're talking about failure, you have to drop the fear, okay? Like, we need to come to terms with the possibilities that whatever decision we make, it may not turn out perfectly, okay? Like we have to be okay with that. Like if this person, does offer an hourly option, she has to be okay if the client may not choose that, right? Like you have like that bounce back has to be on point. Like you can't fear the outcome, Don't fear the outcome of what the decision that you're trying to make, because then you're never going to make the decision because you're too afraid of the outcome. So be okay with the outcome not turning out perfectly, right? Fear of failure is often what keeps us stuck. It keeps us in that overthinking, indecisive mode, because we think that overthinking or using strategies or planning is a part of growing the business. But how long have you really been doing that part? How long have you been planning, right? Like, set a goal, like, yo, I'm going to give myself this amount of time to work on this. And after this, I'm going to go. Okay. Giving yourself permission to make the wrong decisions. You guys, there are Jamel had a soccer tournament last weekend, or no, on Monday, super weird. On Monday, played 3 games back to back to back. He was like subbing in for a team, and he was playing up. So he was playing up a level, and it was like back to back to back games. And they lost all of them. Like, it was ugly, okay? It was ugly. And, after we had that conversation, and I was watching them play together, and it wasn't until the very last game, like at the second half of the game, to where they actually started moving and playing with each other, and not just solo players that just got dumped on this team to play together, right? And, he was upset because he doesn't like to lose. And I was saying, like, hey, there are some lessons that you are only going to learn when you lose. That's the most realest thing somebody told me. Like, there are some lessons that you will only learn when you lose, right? So I had to have that talk with him, and he had we talked that thing through because he was upset. And I was like, look, let's talk it out. First of all, you played up. What did you learn from playing up a level, from playing like older kids, right? They were faster, they were bigger, their decision making was more on point. They controlled the ball better, right? All these different things, right? So I'm like, let's figure these out. Okay, so what did you not do, right? So that, that part, like, he had to give himself permission to be okay with losing and try to figure out how to learn from that, right? Because conditioning ourselves to view results and decisions, good or bad, is a learning opportunity, point blank, right? If you learn from what you experience, it isn't failure. If you can learn from it, like if he could analyze his game and analyze what he didn't do well and what he did well, how he can change this, how he can implement this, then it wasn't a failure. It wasn't a complete loss. But now if he was just stuck in that loss, if he was just angry and stuck in that negative mode, then it was a loss because he didn't learn anything. And then the sucky part about it is that that lesson will have to be retaught and relearned until he gets it, because there's a lesson in losing that he needs to learn. And he won't learn that lesson but by losing. Because when you're a winner, there's some obstacles that you won't face, right? That's like what happens when we see people that are like very high achievers, and they face high opposition that they normally don't face. They buckle, right? They buckle under that pressure because they're not used to losing. They're not used to failure. They're not used to bad things happening in there, right? There's this book that is on my watch list on Audible, and it's by John C. Maxwell, and it's called Falling Forward. Okay. For those that are not avid readers, like there's so many tools out there. Like there's apps that will physically read a book to you. There's Audible. You guys, let's like grow our minds and pick up some books and really grow our thinking and our mindset and our perspective. This is one of my favorite books that's been on my watch list, but I want to like finish some other books, but it's called Falling Forward, right? It's a great book. I've like watched some YouTube videos about it and like looked at some like people's clip notes about it. It's a really good book. It's by John C. Maxwell, and it literally just talks about falling forward. Okay. Because when you really release that fear of failure, plus plus you add the permission to learn and grow, I mean, you'll be unstoppable because you won't have no obstacles that will be big enough to stop you, right? Like when you can add those two things together, oh my goodness, it's gonna like bring you like so beyond, so beyond, right? The next thing is one of my favorite ones, and I think we kind of talked about this before, but it's just about making a list of the things you need to help you make informed decisions. Okay, this one's kind of different. Okay, to making informed decisions, right? So it's kind of like creating a KPI, like a you guys remember at school, like you would create like this key chart and you would be reading or doing project, and if it met this particular thing, then this was the outcome or this was a choice, right? Kind of like that, right? Like making a list of things that will help you make informed decisions, right? This could help keep you focused. It can help keep you on task. It can help making sure that your decisions are not opinion-based, it's not fear-based, it's not, you know, all of those things, but it's making sure that your decisions are going to be in an alignment for the outcome, for that level of success, for what it is that you are trying to achieve. Okay, that will really help somebody. I think I want to try that one because I was looking at this and like that one, because I am a writer, I love to write things down. That I feel like I would have to tweak it a little bit. I feel like I just want to just have like the ultimate goal, and then if that decision won't if that outcome won't line up with what I'm trying to reach for, then it's ultimately just a distraction. Okay, and I think sometimes we see that a lot, especially when you're new. You want to try all the things, right? You want to do all the things, you want to spread your wings wide, but sometimes there's more value in building deep than building wide, right? And making sure that your decisions are going to line up with ultimately where it is you're trying to go. Okay. And the next one is stop waiting. Okay. Sometimes we hold off making decisions because time isn't right. Okay. Like really. When is the perfect timing? There really is no perfect timing, whether you're starting a business or you're creating new healthy habits or you're investing or having children, right? People are like, I want to wait till it's the right time. It is never the right time. My oldest one is 16, my youngest one is 5, and none of it was the right time. I was like, what? Oh no, what? Oh no. Okay. So I mean, stop waiting because it's never going to be the right time. And if honestly, right, if we don't have the resources, then maybe we make the decision that we made that will like kind of just keep it that it'll perfectly fit your situation, right? Like when we talk about how I started. When I started, I couldn't relate to those. I was like, yeah, I paid my cleaners by Cash App. Like, yes, I was cleaning, right? I made the decisions that fit my situation at that time. But once I was able to, you know, alter my choices and make better decisions, then I did it for that. But I didn't allow me to stop. I'm like, no, I'm going to wait. I'm going to save my coins. And then I'm going to be, you know, save this and do this. Like, no, I didn't wait, because waiting is wasting time. It's wasting, to me, is time, right? Time, money, knowledge, like whatever, right? Just stop delaying the decision and just go for it. Okay. How much time do I have left? I'm trying to like stick under 30 minutes. I have like a timer over here. Let's see. Okay, I'm going to end with this one. Okay. And this talks about like reflect and reward. This is often overlooked because developing your decision and that decision muscle, right? And breaking down that overthinking habit, because it's a habit. It's something that we developed over the time. And like I said, most times it's something that we have developed as like a protective mechanism to prevent us from failing, to prevent us from making bad decisions or what we think are bad decisions, right? But once you made that decision to take at least one step, okay, I mean, then recognize that if you're a person that doesn't move forward because of fear of failure, when you do make that one step, recognize it. Recognize that as a win, right? I talk about this all the time with the compound effect, right? Building that confidence and a compound effect, oh my God, like will do you wonders, right? And then take a moment to reflect on that process. Because once you can reflect like, oh my God, I made the decision and I went, right? And you can reflect on that process and you found what actually helped you the most, right? Then you can really see like, that really wasn't that bad. Like I can do that. Celebrate that, analyze that, reflect, and then reward yourself because you just overcame something that you did not used to do so easily, right? Breaking through your overthinking. I don't want to, it isn't hard, okay? But it isn't hard, but it also isn't easy either, right? I know that's kind of like conflicting because it's just literally the matter of just making a decision, right? It just like pressing the button and pressing go, right? However you decide to do this and take this into full effect, you'll be able to like really see and expose that ugly monster of overthinking, that ugly monster that hinders your decision making, and that really gives you that analyst paralysis, right? Once you're able to see that thing as it is for what it is and how much is really hindering you, not all decisions will be stellar, right? Not all of them are going to be super life-changing, but they will compound into you reaching that end result, right? But I don't want anybody to allow overthinking to stop them from reaching where they're trying to go because they're trying to overanalyze everything. Okay, so that is our talk. And I will post the replay in Circle and it will stay up in the Facebook group. This is just a reminder, y'all, do not overthink a thing. Please don't. Analyze it, take it for what it is, but go, okay? Make the decision to call your cleaners. Make the decision to press go on your leads. Make the decision if you're doing student housing to go up to the places to build relationships. If you're doing apartments, do the same. You know what I mean? Like make the decision to just go and don't overanalyze it. Just go. Just go. And I know that sounds easier said than done, but you have to build up that muscle to just go, and then it will become easier. Over time, it'll become easier. Like I promise you. There's this law, the law of 100, and they say like by time you do something 100 times, then it becomes easier to do it. Like it just becomes natural habit. Ooh, imposter syndrome. That is a real thing. Oh my goodness, I'm gonna have to put that on the list because that is definitely a real thing. Ooh, Jill, that's a good one. Yeah, and it kind of fits into this as well. So yeah, you guys, don't overthink this. Like, I'm not saying this is easy as pie, but I'm saying it is doable. And overthinking is just you not moving forward. It's just giving yourself an excuse, a safety net not to move forward because I'm trying to figure it out. I'm trying to plan. I'm trying to figure out all the things, right? So I encourage you guys to keep going, keep moving, keep pushing forward, keep building up that compound effect. Remember, success loves momentum. Celebrate your small wins, no matter how big, no matter how small they are. Even if they seem super minute, like celebrate the mess out of that thing, okay? Let us know, post your wins in the group, post your wins in Circle so we can celebrate with you, right? Because that then gives somebody else a boost because then they will think if they can do it, I can do it too, okay? All right, you guys, have an awesome day. Enjoy your guys' week. Keep finishing it strong. And I will see you guys Friday morning. Bye, y'all.